Hey, brother.
Hello, sister. Let's get back into it. Let's do it.
Well, I guess before our catch up, a few weeks ago, we asked people to send us some emails, just whatever they're thinking. And of course, like nobody emails anymore, but I got one from my friend, and I don't think did you read this, Anthony?
I did. I felt kind of weird because I didn't know. Because I
Who it
felt like it was
was?
more just. No, yeah, I
Oh,
don't think I've ever met her. I don't think it was like directed entirely towards me, so I felt weird reading it. But
well, I'll still read it because it's very nice and it's very funny.
I was very,
So,
very nice.
let me. So basically, I'll just preface: she's gotten she moved, and so her commute is longer now, and she was just saying how she's trying to make her commute better. She said, I have purchased scents for my car and considered dropping $50 on a Dwight bobblehead. Side note,
Which is
$50.
insane. We went to New York and Homer got one. Our brother Homer, he got one for $30, I think.
That's still too much.
Well, it's a Dwight bobblehead. It looked pretty funny, but $50 is pretty
Anyways,
insane.
yeah. Okay. But nothing made me feel more happy than the announcement of y'all's podcast. There are no amount of scents, back braces. Oh, she also got a back brace. Or Dwight bobbleheads that'll compare to what your podcast will provide for me on my commutes. I am so eager to hear them and look forward to the day on Insta when I see it has been posted. Thank you both so much for being entertaining and making my long ass drive just be a long drive without the ass. And that's from my friend
Which
Anna.
after I read that, I was like, man, she's gonna be let down
I know.
so much.
I was like, God damn it. Now we have to make everyone good and think about
Perfect.
Anna driving to her job because everybody hates commuting. It's okay. We'll do it. We'll try.
We'll try our best.
This
Yeah,
is for
that's
you,
all we can
Anna.
do. Yes, the first email is a very nice one.
Yeah,
I
so
appreciate it. I don't think I've ever met her, but thank you so much.
she's very, very nice. Okay, but if
She
you want
seems.
to have your email read, then you can email us at, can you say the email, Anthony? I always get it wrong.
It is thebrosyspod. Thebrosyspod@gmail.com. That's it. Easy as that.
So, what have you been up to?
Well, since the last episode, I have been to New York, the Big Apple. Spent a whole week there. Me, our parents, and then Homer. It was a lot of fun. We did like classic stuff, Empire State Building, Top of the Rock. We didn't go see the Statue of Liberty, but we took the Staten Island ferry, and we saw it. It was real nice. Other than that, just school, getting ready for school. It's Howdy Week right now,
Howdy.
so it's like the week before classes. Yeah, and I'm actually really excited for this semester because I'm taking a film analysis course.
Ooh,
So
annoying.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it this semester. That's pretty much it with me. Nothing else. What about
Well, I
you?
have a question.
Oh,
Well, I
gotcha.
have a couple. You went to New York and you just were like, yeah, we did a couple of things. What was your
Oh,
favorite thing?
my favorite thing in New
Yeah,
York? Honestly, probably Times Square because
basic.
just seeing it in movies and shows and on media, it looks a lot cooler than I imagined. But
Hmm.
the food was good. The food was good. Good hot dogs, good pizza. Just definitely way too many people, but it was nice. The driving is insane too.
Y'all drove?
We took a couple Ubers and they were insane. Just the way that they were driving, the way that they parked. Honking is just constant. And if you don't honk at least 4 times a minute, you're doing it wrong, apparently.
They have a quota.
Yeah, it seems like it, but definitely the food and Times Square was real cool. Oh, we also saw a couple shows. We saw Book of Mormon, which I put on the Instagram, which is really,
Mhm.
really funny. I hadn't heard anything about it. I mean, I knew it was a Broadway show, but it was really funny. I really enjoyed it. That was my first Broadway show, and it was a good entrance to Broadway. We also saw Mean Girls, and then an off-Broadway was the one we saw was The Office musical parody. That was
Mhm.
actually pretty funny too.
Interesting.
Yeah, those shows were actually probably one of the highlights too. I completely forgot about that until now.
A highlight that I completely forgot we did.
Yeah.
All right, my next question. What is, because I film analysis, I don't know why to me, I mean, this sounds weird because we're literally talking on a movie podcast,
What is film
but that
analysis?
sounds so annoying. I don't know why. Like I had this one professor that he wanted us to watch The Matrix, and it was in philosophy. Did you ever do this?
No, but I heard about it.
It was the worst way to watch a movie possible. He would stop, and this is what I imagine it is, so that's why I'm like, oh, that sounds so goddamn annoying. He would stop it every minute. Not even kidding. Literally every minute he would stop it to tell us, because it's based on a lot of philosophy, and it's pretty interesting, but I would rather, read something about it than watch a movie and have somebody just stop every minute and tell me exactly what that meant. And I don't know. I mean, I guess some people would like that. I hated it. So hopefully it's not that.
Oh no, it's definitely not that. We watched the
Oh, okay.
movie for the week every Monday at one of the buildings on campus,
Oh, that sounds
like
fun.
movie theater style, and we just talk about it throughout the week. We talk about like the techniques, the way that it's shot, definitely the score. Oh my gosh, I'm so ready to talk about the score. That's gonna be, especially for this movie, The Witch. Super excited to talk about that, but more on that later. But yeah, it's
Okay.
gonna be more of a. I don't think it'll be as annoying as your experience with it. But we're gonna watch some pretty cool films. I know Citizen Kane. Is that a movie? Is that the name of it? I know it's like a really
Yes.
famous movie, but I didn't want
Yes,
to
it's like
butcher
one
it.
of the most famous movies ever.
I wanted to say Kane
Am I
Citizen.
pronouncing that right? The Godfather? Am I saying that right?
Citizen Kane. I didn't want to say Kane Citizen because I was thinking of that. I just wanted to
Oh
make
shit.
sure. We're watching that. We're watching 2001. A lot of cool movies, which I have never seen before, and I'm excited.
So if you ever wondered, I wonder if this podcast, if these people know what they're talking about. No, and that's the perfect example. Citizen
Yeah.
Kane, am I saying that right?
Oh yeah. We do not know what we're talking
Oh
about.
shit, that made me cry. Okay, well that sounds fun.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
jealous.
pretty much it with me. What about you?
Okay. So, I mean, a lot's gone on, but the two main things that are related to movies that, like, the two stories I'll talk about are the first one is, so me and you, when we went to go see Midsummer, and then they had Ari Aster there. I think that's a series they do, or they just, like, the Draft House here just has a bunch of directors and actors come and do Q&As after their movies. And so I was able to go to another one with a couple of my coworkers for a movie called Loose. It's super
Gotcha.
limited release. I don't know if you've seen it or if you've heard of it, Anthony.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it unfortunately. But I've heard. We saw something on the news about it in New York.
Oh,
That's
really?
pretty much all I know about it. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, yeah, so we saw that. And then the director and the star of it, so the main guy, was there. And that was really cool. We actually saw, like, we bought our tickets pretty soon. What is the word?
Pretty early
No,
on.
not early on. Opposite of that.
Oh,
Pretty,
pretty
yeah,
late.
pretty late in the game. So we sat at the very front, but for, like, movie watching wise was annoying because obviously we had to look up, and so, like, my neck was hurting afterwards. But it's
Mhm.
good for a Q&A because you're right there, and we were front and center, so me and my coworker were right in front of them. But yeah, so that was cool, and the movie was really good, but it was very, if you look at the description, I think the first thing it says is that it's a movie about, well, it's based on a play, and it's about, like race and class relations. So it was a super dense and serious and heavy film, and it was so good. I really loved it. Um but it just made me think when I was sitting there, and the guy that was asking the questions was asking all these heavy questions, and obviously the director had been thinking about this for so long, and he didn't write it, but he adapted it for film. So he obviously, like, you're not going to pick something that you don't believe in.
Yes. Hmm.
But it made me think of actors because they brought this point up where it's to be signed on to this movie. Like Naomi Watts is in it, and she plays kind of a white savior role. And so to sign on to this movie and put your face on that, they kind of were saying like this is such a heavy movie to be involved in. And as an actor, you're just doing a job and you want to do your job well, and you of course you like the movie, that's why you signed on, but it's just very interesting what we assign to actors to like answer because he wanted to be in this movie. Now he has to answer for all of the race, politics, class, all these things that are talked about and addressed in the movie. Now he has to have an opinion on it, and
Hmm.
that's
He's
so
almost.
interesting to me.
But I
Well,
see
he's
what
like,
you're saying.
yeah, like it was just so uncomfortable, and to like I said, to be right there when they're talking about it was so strange. But yeah, it just
I can
breaks
see
the
that.
illusion even more. Like when we stood up and we're about to leave, my coworkers know that I have this podcast, so they were like, "Hey, do you want to take a picture?" And I said, "No, I'm not really into that thing," which is kind of weird again because we're super into movies. So you would think, well, why wouldn't you want to go say hi or take a picture? Because the actor,
Hmm.
like, I recognize him in a couple of movies that I've seen, but I don't know. It doing that, going to those, going to Comic Con and working at Comic Con, it just like breaks the illusion. So I was like, no, I'm fine.
Definitely. I feel the
But
same
yeah.
way.
Yeah, because there are people, whatever. That's not like a hot take, but that was my first one, and I went off on a tangent. But I just thought that was super interesting. But yeah,
Hmm.
and the next one is a little bit more lighthearted. So I had the audacity to want to see the Lion King movie this week, or no, it wasn't even this weekend. It was like 2 weeks ago. So it's been out for a pretty long time, maybe a month. And so Sebastian and I went to go see it, and about I mean, I'm just not spoiling the movie because everybody's seen Lion King, but
Of course.
that part where his hair like just takes a journey like in and out of like
That
animals'
was really
asses and
weird.
shit. So
That was really weird.
that was the part where we were watching it, and then all of a sudden I heard some guy yelling, saying, "We you have to evacuate the theater," like really loudly. And so I just looked at Sebastian. We got up and we just walked out because everybody started to just exit through the theater. And so we walked around and there was like maybe 5 fire trucks outside. Yeah, I should have taken a video, but we we walked outside and we were just waiting. And I was like, well, I guess we're probably not going to go back in. And I don't want to go back in. And I don't want to watch that Lion King again unless I get to see it from the point that I stopped at. I don't I got like maybe 40 minutes in and I don't want to sit through that again, you know.
Yeah, once you
So,
uh it
what do you say?
was I was just gonna
Well, I can
say it's pretty much the same. I mean, not a lot has
exactly.
changed. I haven't seen the original in a very long time, but I can imagine it's pretty much the same thing.
It's the same. I mean, I guess this is a controversial opinion, but I don't understand why they made the movie. That was my biggest question. Like, why is this necessary? I
I
don't
agree.
get it. I still don't get it, but whatever.
It was cool to see the like the technology, the way it was
I guess,
made.
but I'll
That
just
was
wait
pretty
for
cool.
cats.
we
But
all
long story short,
Let's go watch Cat in the Hat. Actually,
true. Long story short, I'm not going to finish that movie. I still have not seen that movie
I don't blame you.
fully, but I scammed my way into 4 free Cinemark tickets. So
That's what's up. Shout out.
shout out Cinemark. Eh.
Did you ever
But
find out
yeah,
what happened?
I did look. This is gonna expose me as a weirdo, but I found like a police scanner app,
What the
and I
hell?
was listening. Huh?
So what the hell? It's
Oh,
crazy.
yeah. So I was listening in on like what they were talking about, but they were basically some alarm came off, and so they thought it was in the projector room, and so they were
That's
like
pretty
going through.
scary.
It was some alarm, and so they couldn't let us in. I don't know exactly when they cleared it, but either way, Sebastian and I just left.
Weird.
But yeah, so moral of the story: don't go see Lion King if you don't want to.
Yeah, I mean you don't really miss much. So
I know. I mean, I've seen that movie so many times. But yeah. right.
All right. Let's move on.
Now, The
What you
Witch.
guys have been waiting for. The Witch. I'm so excited.
The Witch.
The Witch. I
All right.
watched it 2 days ago, so it's very fresh on my mind.
The first time I saw it is when it came out in theaters,
Interesting.
and I think that's the only time I've seen it other than last week for this.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I've seen it. That's the theme of all of these. Is I've probably seen whatever we're watching.
Yeah, this one I have not seen. This was my first time viewing it. I watched it at night because you recommended it to me to watch it at night. And
I recommend any scary movie to watch at night, just to set
I
the mood.
guess
I mean,
this one I felt
yeah.
like you need to see it at night though, because I
Yeah,
was genuinely creeped out.
it's very
Just because,
creepy.
yeah, especially towards the end. It wasn't like jump scares. After, I guess we'll just go straight into spoilers because if you haven't watched it while you're listening, but after the witch, she was like drinking the goat blood when she
Goat's
was in the
blood.
barn.
Oh, at the
Or
end.
yeah, at
Oh,
the end.
okay.
That was like a kind of a jump scare because she turned around and like started cackling at the kids.
Yeah.
Uh, After that jump scare, it was more of it left it to your imagination because you saw Black Phillip, or it was focused on what was her name, Thomason.
Yeah.
The camera's focused on her, and you can kind of just imagine what Black Phillip is doing and like transforming into whatever that guy was.
Mm-hmm.
You could just imagine, and that was the really creepy part because it wasn't just straight up in your face. It left it all to your imagination, and the end was really, it was interesting. I really liked the way that it ended. I know Mom didn't like it,
Well, overall,
but
so I think we should start these out with saying your first thoughts, or just not your first thoughts, but if you liked it or not.
oh, I really liked it because I don't think I've ever seen a movie like that.
Definitely.
That creepy, and that the way the soundtrack or the score was used, I felt like it was used so perfectly because there was a lot of screechy violin, which is, I guess, is a staple in horror, but a lot of
Mhm.
violin is used because it at one end it's so beautiful, like the way the instrument can be played, like all like it's almost singing, but on the other end of the spectrum, when you play like staccato, like just short, repetitive little portions, it makes it
Yeah.
super creepy, and it was just perfectly placed. Especially when the shot after, what was his name, Charlie, was stolen, and you can see the forest. Thomason's just looking at the
Yeah.
forest, and the violin's playing, and you're just like, what the hell happened? So the score definitely made it for
Mm-hmm.
me. And like I was saying during our first episode, a score can make or break how good a movie can be. And if this had no score or had no music, you could it wouldn't be as creepy. And it just
Oh, I
amplified
agree.
the effect that it had on me.
One thing that I remember specifically from, well, there's two things. So, well, I loved it too. I think it's one of my favorite horror films. I actually, well, we can go into this later, but I don't actually, it's a horror film, obviously, but if anything, to me, it's more of a family drama,
Mm-hmm.
just set in like a horror kind of vibe. But like talking about the score, and I don't really notice that much, so for me
Mm-hmm.
to for this to stand out for me is telling, I think. But the thing I loved about it so much is, for one, whenever I watched it with my friend,
Mm-hmm.
like in college, this was a while ago, a couple years ago, I could feel everybody not liking this movie. And I knew everybody hated it, and then as soon as we left, obviously people are like, "Oh, that was stupid," so yeah, everybody hated it, and because it's not what they expect it to be. It's the same reason people didn't like Hereditary. It's the same reason,
Why do you think that is?
because it's not the classic horror. And when I was watching it, even when I was watching it with Sebastian, and I think
Okay.
this is the first time he'd seen it, like halfway through, I looked at him and I was like, nobody's gonna like this movie. Even the people that watch this, I guarantee a lot of people are not going to like it. Not because it's like, oh, it's because you don't get it. I don't think that. I think because it gives you Hereditary is a different. I've put them in the same vein of, like I said, movies that disappointed a lot of people because of the way they were marketed. But Hereditary, you can kind of tell. I think I would give it some more credit where when you're watching the trailer, you can be like, oh, it'll be scary, but there's a family, so maybe it'll be more dramatic. And you can kind of forgive it a little bit for not being like as jump scary and as like traditional horror films are. But
Okay.
The Witch, it's about a witch. So you expect it to be like all these other like witch movies or like The Conjuring or Insidious, like all these other movies that use that kind of.
Antagonist.
Yeah, because
Or
if
like,
you called Hereditary The Cult, then you would be like, you would have different expectations. But because it's not called that, you know what I mean? I think that's why. I think because people expected to see a witch and see a scary witch, and they just saw an old naked
that was pretty
woman. So like,
scary.
I don't
She
know.
was
I
bathing
can
in blood.
understand. It was scary, but I know. But it's like, I do understand why people don't like it and why it's such a controversial movie because of that. But yeah, so that's one first thing I liked is I liked that it was so, like you said, is so different. And even for me, I was so surprised by it, but in such a
Mm-hmm.
good way. And going back to the score, what I really love about the score is that it this movie just uses the horror elements that a lot of other ones use, but in such a different and unique and creative way. And what I loved about the score is how he builds up the tension
Mm-hmm.
with it, but he never
Yes.
releases it in
Mm-hmm.
the way that you want. So like if you watch like an Insidious or The Conjuring is such a good example of this, where they build up the scare with music and then when they stop it, when it's silent, you know the scare is coming in a few seconds. But in this one they don't do that.
Yeah.
Like if you think about the first sequence when she's riding the like broomstick, like the little stick, and she's riding into the night and it gets so loud and then it just stops and then it goes to the next scene and nothing
Yeah.
really happens. And so you're these other like I think classic horror films have kind of worked in his advantage where people expect that without if they think about it or not, they expect music to get loud and something to release it and for them to be just waiting for the next moment. In this one he never let you know exactly what was happening, so he didn't use the musical cues in the way that they
He
traditionally
used
are.
yeah,
Does
he,
that make
he
sense?
used
Or
the
am I just
music
rambling?
for misdirection. He psychologically messed with
Yes.
you. It was amazing.
Yes, rather than yes, and rather than like yeah, the misdirection's
Like
perfect. I don't even know how to say
crescendo
it.
scare, crescendo scare. He had crescendo, crescendo, crescendo,
And nothing.
scare, crescendo.
He had one, I think one, like maybe two jump scares I can think of.
Yeah, the only one I can think of on the top of my head was when she turned around and like you could see her face.
Well, also when the dad was, he was like, "What the fuck is going on?" At in the morning, and then Black Phillip like hit him.
Oh my goodness.
That scared. I jumped out of my seat, and I knew it was
Oh, it's so
happening.
funny that he died from all the wood that like Black Phillip killed him, but all the wood that
Right?
he was cutting, like he wasn't even making a fire. What the hell? Why you make?
Sebastian was like, "That wood is all damp."
It'll take forever to catch if it even does. Oh, that was upsetting me too. He's so stupid. He kind of deserved that one.
For that wood, I'm glad you said that because I think the whole time I was just making fun of it. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's." I'm glad he's cutting more wood. That's exactly what they
I think
need.
it was the only thing he could do. He couldn't hunt. He couldn't gather. He couldn't farm well.
Well, and that's a perfect yes, exactly. Like it's so ridiculous because you're like, dude, that why are you getting more wood? You don't need more wood. But that's the only way he could like figure how to be a man
Yeah,
was by chopping wood.
it was really funny.
But yeah, I loved the movie. I will defend it till the day I die. I love it.
Well, let me just look at my notes. Because
I didn't take
I
any.
took notes while I was watching it. I think
Okay.
they're all about pretty much the score, how it's super ominous. Just because of the music, I really like the operatic. Like it was almost the way I imagined it.
Oh yeah.
It was like the coven. The coven was singing like as they were just like
Oh
watching this family.
yes, because they're watching it. Oh, that's so creepy.
Yeah, so it was super awesome just to imagine like they're just singing as they're watching this family
Mm-hmm.
arrive. So I have a quick question about the timeline. So the
Okay.
beginning, they get kicked out of a village because they don't agree with their viewpoints. So they get kicked
Hmm.
out. And then does it cut to like a couple months in the future?
Well, yeah.
Because he already has a house, and I was like, that
And
was
she
pretty
was
fast.
pregnant. She didn't have the baby yet.
Gotcha. Okay. I was just making sure. Just making sure. Also, I had to put captions on because it took way too much brain power for me to understand what the hell they were saying without captions.
That was the first question I asked mom because I texted her and I was like, "Did you like it?" And she said no. And I said, "It's because you couldn't understand them." She said, "No, I understood them." And I was like, "Girl, you have to put on subtitles when we watch Peaky Blinders. You didn't understand."
Oh my
But
god.
that's okay. But that's another thing that I love about this movie because Robert Eggers, the guy that directed it, he studied Old English through, and I think it says it on the movie, but he studied like their writings and all of that so that it could be
Yeah.
as authentic as possible.
Yeah, it does say at the end that he used writings like journals and documents while he was making this, which is super awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
And it feels like it was like it's a documentary, like they were actually there, like the way that they speak.
mhm.
I wonder how long it took for them to master that like accent and the way that they spoke.
Oh, especially those
Super cool.
kids, dude. Those kids,
Oh
they were so fucking annoying, but those actors were so good.
yes, yes, especially that kid, the older one. I don't remember his name, the pedophile one
What?
or the
Oh,
incestuous one. He was looking at his sister's boobs.
the pedophile. Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah, they were super awesome, but the twins were super annoying.
Oh my
I hated
god.
them. I was
I
very glad what
my
having
mom
them.
or my mom, your mom too.
My mommy.
Mom was like, "What happened to them?"
It doesn't matter.
I said, "Well, I think they're dead." I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that I don't know how every time I see kids or animals, and I think everybody does too, but every time I see kids and animals in movies, I'm like, "How did you make this movie? I don't get it."
Yeah,
Kids or we have cousins those age and they don't do shit like that. Like they can't act, they can't just stand in a
let alone
in
speak old English. Oh my god, forget
exactly.
about it.
And they had a lot of dialogue. I mean, at least the girl did. The guy or the boy twin didn't, but she had a lot of dialogue.
She did. She was good. She was good.
Very good
Next,
at being annoying.
yeah. Next thing I have is the director not only used um, violin to create those like ominous feel, but he also
Hmm.
used animal noises, which was really really cool. So I didn't get tired of the violin because I feel like, especially in horror, you can kill the violin
Yeah.
with it, but he used like animal like natural noises, which was cool.
In the soundtrack or
Felt
like in the
nice.
music?
Like when they were walking into the woods and stuff like that, it was especially when they went in there and they got lost. Thomas and I don't know, or Thomason and I don't know, remember the other kid's name. But
Freckles?
when she got knocked out, yeah, Freckles.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was cool.
Hmm.
Or it could have been a different instrument. It just sounded like it was natural to me.
I didn't notice that.
Of course you don't. Whatever. So as I was watching this, I was
Mhm.
watching it with his dad and mom. I don't know why mom was watching it again, but dad was there. But they both left before the ending. I was interested to. I was just thinking about how our family would survive in that time. Like, who would make it?
Who would be the witch?
Yeah, yeah. Well, mom would be the witch without a doubt.
um if we got like right now or when we were kids, if we would have gotten like
Bewitched.
exiled.
Exiled
from
and bewitched in
um
England in whatever time this is, 18th century or whatever.
honestly, if we're being honest, Homer, he would survive.
Oh, I was gonna say he'd be the first to go.
I don't think so. Well, actually, it depends on the timeline because Homer, now that's what they do. They take him to the woods, don't they?
Gotcha. Yeah,
In
he would learn
ROTC.
how to hunt. Yeah,
So now I think Homer would be a good contender, but I don't know. It wouldn't be me. I know that for sure.
I don't know. I just thought it was interesting, just because it's a family dynamic. It's natural to think about like your own
Well,
family.
and that's exactly, and that's what I think a lot of people. I mean, I understand that you have to in today's like movie politics or like industry, you kind of have to pick a lane and stay in it rather than be like, oh, this isn't just a horror film, it's this and this. Like you have to kind of do one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And horror as a like genre isn't as respected. So I don't think people appreciate how good of a drama it is too. Like the family dynamics is the not even looking at the witches. I don't even think that's the most important or interesting part. It's just how the family
I
is.
felt like Thomasin and her mom was probably what the most compelling for me. Not
Yeah.
just because whenever they got into that fight, Thomasin was like, I love you." Like she just wanted her mother's approval. I was like, "Damn."
Yeah.
Even until the end, she just wanted that, which I thought was
Well, yeah, because what else did they have? I mean, they have a house, sure, but they don't have anybody else.
yeah.
And that's what, like, I mean, God, it's getting personal, but that's what it, like, honestly felt like, at least as a kid, when you're, like, a military kid and you're in a military family and you're not exiled, but you're, like, moving from, place to place. And these places, at least where we went, were so far and so, like we didn't have anybody connecting us other than just our like family unit. And
Yeah.
so to be at the very least we had other families to connect with and to be like, okay, we're going through the same thing. But I can't even imagine just the six of us in the fucking woods by ourselves. We would definitely murder each other too. Like that's a hard like life to live.
Yeah, for anyone. Do you think
Yeah,
Dad
so
would have cut as much wood?
I mean I feel like I picture mom being just like standing outside, just staring at him, being like, "Why are you cutting so much fucking wood?"
You don't even know how to start a fire. That's so funny.
I didn't see one fire in that damn movie until the end.
Yeah.
Maybe he cut all the
Oh,
wood for them.
yeah. Maybe. He was being generous. He was like, you know what, you guys, don't even worry about it. I got you.
Maybe the witch, she bewitched him, so they were like, "Hey, we're gonna do a bonfire. Can we order 200 things of wood for their bonfire?"
That was pretty cool because everything Thomason said while she was joking to her younger sister, everything that she
Right? It
said,
was
it
right.
happened. Yeah, she foreshadowing. She
But
predicted
you know what? That
everything.
makes me think of one of the theories, though.
What's one of
That
the theories?
there's a theory that it was that none of that actually happened. That the family went insane. But
Oh.
so the family went insane because of the seclusion, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I saw this trivia thing. I don't know exactly how um valid it is, but I read that because they harvested corn, and there's a certain fungus that corn can get, that if you eat it or if you're like in the vicinity, then you can go insane. And that
That
was
corn did look a little sketchy.
a suspect.
Yeah.
But I think that's what they attributed a lot of the people that would like in the Salem trials, a lot of the people that were insane, that's what it came from. It's not because they were actually witches, it's because they had a disease or an infection or whatever.
That's pretty
So
interesting.
I think that would be, yeah, like that. Like, what if that didn't actually happen and she just killed her family and she's imagining it all? And because it is serendipitous that it happened exactly how she said,
Mm-hmm.
or it's just she's imagining it because that's how she said. And that's what she thinks the witches do.
She is the witch.
Yeah. She's a witch in not in the way that she's actually a witch, but because she is insane.
Ah,
And I think it's an
that's a pretty cool
interesting
theory.
theory.
That is pretty interesting.
I think it's
Wow.
beside the point, but it is interesting to think that, like we said, that it was just too much for them.
Yeah, the seclusion. Well, that's a cool theory. I would have never came up with that.
Me neither. I'm not that smart.
Well, I think that's pretty much all our thoughts, right? I ran out of notes. That was pretty much it. The ending was cool. She flew up.
Yeah.
She went straight up.
Yeah, I
To
love that movie. 10 out of
great
10
movie.
would recommend.
Yeah, I'd say the same. You recommended it, and that's why I picked it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did.
All right. Well, we can go into our theme of the week. So each week, things are going to go a little bit differently from here on out. So we're going to try to pick like a theme or something that goes along with the movie, something that interests us about the movie. It might not relate directly, or we might be reaching, who knows. But this week, we want to talk about childhood fears. And this came from my research. I don't just research for this podcast, which is kind of sad to admit. I just like researching movies and I like knowing useless little facts about them. So I
Nerd.
know. So I was listening to a podcast with the director. I think we said his name, Robert Eggers, and
Mhm.
he had this quote, and I think he was quoting somebody else, but it was really interesting and I really liked it. And so he said, "You feel like the woods behind your house are haunted by the past." And so that made me think of, especially in our case, when you're a kid, you don't really, I mean, you have these like weird fears, but you don't know where they stem from until you're an adult. And I thought it would be fun to just reminisce on the things that scared us shitless when we were kids. So you can go first, Anthony. What did you write down or what did you think about for your childhood fears?
Well,
You have a lot. You were kind of,
well,
you know what? Like, I do remember, I have a terrible memory, but I do remember you being like scared all the time. You and Homer were the biggest scaredy cats
yeah, I
I've
was scared
ever
of a
met.
lot.
Yeah.
Probably the most dumbest things I was scared of was the game Clue. I was scared of the game Clue, but in my defense, it's about murder. So what little kid wouldn't be scared? And this one time we were at grandma's house and you guys were playing it and you guys were yelling like super loud and just loud noises and murder is scary. Whatever. But like the main things that I remember, especially in Alaska, was aliens. Aliens freaked me out. And it didn't help that we used to play outside all the time just because Alaska is nice. And we had walkie talkies, and I was on the walkie talkie, and I heard a voice, and it sounded like an alien. It sounded like it didn't sound human. It didn't sound like an animal. It sounded like an alien, or at least what my 8-year-old mind thought was an alien. Later, I learned it was you guys. It was you and Emily scaring me. You guys had the another walkie-talkie, and you scared me. And I remember because we were out, I was outside. And it was like, you better get inside. We're going to invade Earth. And I was like, oh no. So I ran in. I told mom. I was like, mom. I told her what happened, and she got mad at you guys. And yeah,
I totally
so
forgot about
that.
that. Uh.
But I think before that, and the reason that it scared me so much was because I remember, I don't know if this was just a dream or maybe I had sleep paralysis, but I remember we had bunk beds. Me and Homer, we shared a room. We had bunk beds, and I was the top bunk. And I really remember this. I remember waking up top of the bed, and the way it was the bunk bed. The way we slept. If I got up, I could see the door, and for some reason the door was open. It was just pitch black. We had a nightlight, but it didn't reach that far. So I look and I see a little alien dude. I know this sounds crazy, bro, but I saw him like the classic little oval shaped head and the huge eyes. I saw him. He was just standing there, and I was like, "What?" So I got down and I put the covers over me real fast. I was like, "Please, just leave, just leave, just leave, just leave, just leave." And then I saw a light from my window, like almost a UFO light, and then it took off. Like you could see it like disappear, and that's what scared me from the walkie-talkie because I thought it was an alien coming back for me. He was just doing like some recon. He was just getting intel when he came to my room, but he was coming back. So that's why I was scared because of that, because I thought this bro was trying to come back and
Oh,
get
now I
me.
feel bad.
That's fine. I'm not scared of aliens anymore. I think it'd be pretty cool if
I
they
mean,
came.
they exist. Of course they exist. Come on.
Without a doubt.
Oh my-
But so yeah, that scared me for a very long time. And then we had a forest next to us. We played Manhunt there a couple times. That was pretty scary, just because it's a forest. But another thing that I remember, which is related to movies, is the movie Saw, like the Jigsaw specifically. I remember we had this huge denim pillow in
Mhm.
Alaska, and we were in the basement or the lowest level of our house. It was kind of a basement. And I was sitting on it, and we were playing Hello, me and Homer. It was either mom and dad. They were next to us. They were on the desk, and they were watching Saw on the computer. So I was playing Halo, having a good time, and I look over, and I see Jigsaw taking up the entire screen, and he's like smiling, and I'm making eye contact with him, and I just look back to the Halo, and I just start crying, and I'm just playing, and I'm crying because it was so scary. It was the scariest
The
thing.
puppet, you mean?
Yeah, not the
Oh, okay.
actual dude, but like the puppet. Super scary. It's a scary face for. So yeah, that's what I was scared of.
Oh my god, that's so funny. I when you're talking about all your fears, people are gonna think I'm messed up because I'm just laughing. But I have so many. I have like 2 or 3 stories of you just being scared of shit and me thinking it's so funny.
I mean, it's kind of funny.
Oh my god. Well, I'll just talk about one of yours when you were scared of that that video game Doom.
Oh my gosh.
When
That's another
when
scary thing, bro. It's about demons. What do
okay,
you mean?
I know that I guess it's scary at that time. If you watch it now, the graphics are so bad
Oh yeah,
that
for
I don't know
sure.
how you'd be scared of it. But what's funny about it is that you told me and Emily that you were scared of this game, and you were young. I don't want people to think you were like, it was like
This
two
was
years ago.
yesterday.
You were pretty young, but okay. You were super young, but me and Emily, we you like told us about it, and we were like, okay, well, we'll play it with you, so you won't get scared. And you're like, okay, but I only play to a certain point. We're like, okay, well, we could just play to that point. And we started the game off, and when you start a game and it's just the story, and they just walk you through it, and it's just setting up the world.
Yeah, it's a cinematic.
So I don't even remember what happens, but it's like a minute in, and in the like the person that you're playing walks up to this one guy, like a lab tech guy, and he turns around and he starts like twitching and turning into this monster thing, and that's when you turned it off. And we were like, you don't
Hmm.
even play the game.
Yeah, I couldn't get that far. You know what's messed up? It's because it's like before the title comes up, before you even know that it's Doom.
But you made it seem like you were, oh, I only play to a certain point, and you don't even touch the controller.
Yeah, I only got to this level. No, I haven't even started, bro. You couldn't even control. I remember the only thing I remember was the screen getting red, and
Yeah.
that was really scary because it got red
Red
and it
is
got
a
really
bad
loud.
color for you.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I'll stop making fun of you and I'll talk about my fears. So I'm crying. That's so funny. Okay. So I have to this day, I have one fear that I don't like have a fear of anymore, but to this day, the fear that I have is of octopi and squid to a certain degree. And I can actually trace back exactly the moment I started being scared of them. And even at this point, like even when I talk about them, if I think about them, if I just like am in the same vicinity as one, like in an aquarium or something, I freak out. Like I get so nervous. I don't even watch like those, what are those movies that they're like is it called like Planet Earth?
Yeah,
Something like
yeah,
that.
like the documentaries.
Yeah, like there's one about the ocean. I can't even watch it cuz it's
Oh, like Deep
yeah,
Blue,
like my fear has kind
maybe.
of it's upgraded to just the ocean rather than just octopi, but anyways, whenever we went to when we lived in Germany, and I think it was for like around my birthday, or I don't know if we went multiple times, but we went to the Disneyland in Paris, and they have this ride, or it's not even a ride, it's just like a walkthrough of some sea thing. I have like a vague memory, so I don't really know exactly what happened or like what was going on. But one of the like when you walk through, you go into this guy, like it's supposed to be the doctor, I think, that or like some scientist. He has a lab that's underwater, and in my mind, I remember part of it like being an octopus coming up to the window and it like acting like it was gonna break or something, like there was some animation or something saying that the window was gonna break and it was gonna come through, and I like freaked out, or I was like really scared. But I actually like a couple of years ago I like looked it up because I was like, you know what, I need to see if that actually happened. And I looked it up, and it's literally if you watch the video of it, it does have the window, it has the little office, but an octopus that's not even real, it's like a fake one, just goes across the window, and that's it. No like yelling, no like alarms. It was like alarms in my memory. It was just that.
See, mine were real.
And my
That alien was real.
and my bitch ass
Do
was like, okay, now I'm gonna develop a lifelong fear of these
you
things.
think if you ate one, you'd be like, all right,
Oh
I've conquered this?
no.
You put it in its
I
place.
even people that's the first question that people ask me is if I've eaten calamari. I can't.
Uh,
It's ugh, I just don't, I mean, I don't understand why they have to be a thing. They probably do something for the ecosystem. I don't know. I don't want to be, hating on them too much, but like why? Why do they have to look like that? I don't understand. It's creeping me out. I can't even talk about them this long. I'll move on to the next thing.
okay.
so that so that was the first one. The second one is actually it kind of relates in a way to your Saw thing, but not really. It's a theme of our parents just showing us movies that we probably shouldn't have seen.
Yeah, I was very young to see Saw. I didn't watch
But
the full movie. I just saw a very frightening. I'm surprised I didn't
oh
see
no.
like someone cutting off their leg or anything like that. But keep
Or
on.
if you did, you were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Puppets is
But
where
the
I draw the
puppet.
line.
But so mom and dad took us to see. I don't know if you were there. I don't know when this was, but I remember seeing signs in the movie theater. Signs when I was a kid.
Now that's a family fun time.
I don't want to judge them. Honestly, I'm probably going to do the same shit to my kids. I'm just not going to know. I'm not good at telling kids ages. I'm really bad at it. Even with you and Homer, I have no idea how old y'all are.
That's fine.
But so that developed a fear of aliens, and I was terrified of that movie for a while. But I never really had any. I would just like I remember in Alaska. I think maybe we saw it in Germany, maybe Alaska, but I remember like sometimes staying up late, like not staying up on purpose, but just not being able to fall asleep because I just kept thinking about like aliens and them coming, like what happened to you, but that actually happening to me.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
But yeah,
You saying it
no, I
didn't
mean
happen to
like
me? No, I'm just playing.
I don't want to assume, but yeah. So those were my fears. I didn't really have too much. I mean, I think for a while I was scared of the dark, but that's kind
Yeah,
of a
classic.
given. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's like the two aliens I'm not like super scared of anymore.
Yeah,
But it's weird like if you look into Alaska, what's interesting about like the whole alien shit happening in to you in Alaska is that there are a lot of conspiracies about aliens, but a lot of
And
them are centered not just in like New Mexico, like where you would think, but also in Alaska, because there's a huge amount of missing people, and people like obviously connect it to that they were abducted, but there's a huge amount of that, I think.
if I go missing after this episode airs, that's what happened to me. That alien came back, and he took me because I spoke. I've never told that story before.
He was like, Jigsaw, really? I
Yeah,
give you the
that's where we're
fright of
drawing
your
the
I
line.
give you the fright of your life when you say Jigsaw.
A freaking puppet, bro. Come on.
I'm real.
I handed you a golden platter, bro.
And by the way, that was me on the walkie-talkie, you little bitch.
That's so funny.
All right.
So, our childhood fears. And we opened this up to you guys. We asked for submissions on our Instagram. We got a huge amount.
We won't too much to even say. Don't even say. But out of
Oh, too
those,
much indeed. Too much indeed.
we picked a select few.
Two to be exact.
So the first one, we'll go.
Well,
We won't say both of them at the same time. We'll go
the
one by
the prompt
one.
was your childhood fears, right? We asked
Yeah,
them
just what was your childhood
what are your
fear?
childhood fears. Okay.
Do you want to explain what we're
And
doing?
with these, yeah, we wanted to spice it up. We didn't want to just read them and blah, done. So we're gonna use these as sort of prompts, and we'll come up with an elevator pitch for a movie, the title, and then a star for this movie to get it, because every movie needs a star. So we're gonna pick a star for these movies that we pitch.
Okay.
And so the first submission is Strangers and the Dark. This person was afraid of strangers in the dark. So, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I actually did. I didn't do homework on these, but I have thought about them beforehand. I don't have
Okay.
a title, so maybe you can help me with the title. But
I don't have a title for mine either.
okay.
For this one specifically.
So, for Strangers in the Dark, I did cheat a little bit though, because I have had this idea in my head, like lingering to write something about.
Oh my god.
I know. But I just always, every time, I think it was sparked by a certain movie. I think it was Age of Adeline. Have you seen that?
No, wait, maybe it sounds familiar. I think
So
so.
you don't really need to know, but it's a romantic movie, a romantic drama. And the theme of romantic movies that I've seen a lot, this is a long elevator pitch, but is that the men kind of get away with whatever they want, like in the name of love. So they get to, bully a woman, like in The Notebook, he kind of bullies her into going on a date with him. And they do all these things that would be, if they weren't attractive, they would be fucking creepy.
Gotcha.
And you would get a restraining order, like that kind of thing. So my idea is to take all of these tropes, take all of these things, or that idea that a man can do anything in the name of like romance or love, and put a real spin on it, like put a realistic screen or something, you know what I mean?
Okay. Make him more
Make him as creepy as he is. So in Age of Adeline, I think he would like, there was one moment where kind of like in The Notebook where he bullied her into going on a date with her, and he would like follow her and just like stuff like that where you see in movies. And I bet anything I say, like if you follow them, if you find out where they live, if you get their number from somebody, like all of this, if Ryan Reynolds is doing it, then it's cute and it's romantic and oh my god, he really likes you. But I want to put somebody that is still attractive, but like you could go the other way with it. So I have two people I'm thinking of, but I think the person I will go with is Adam Driver.
Oh, okay.
Because for one, he's a great actor, and I think you could just give him anything and he'd be able to do it. I feel like he'd understand it,
Gotcha.
And I think like I said, that's just my idea, is that even though you're going on a date with this man, like however you meet him, however it's Tinder, if he's a coworker, if he's a blind date. He's a stranger to you. And if you go out on a date, it's probably going to be around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. It's going to be dark. So that's The Strangers in the Dark, is that it turns out on a date and it turns out on a date. It starts on a date and it turns out to be like super creepy because the woman doesn't take a shit. And yeah, that's my idea.
I like that. For the title, it should be Date Night Fright Night.
I was thinking
Just
just
top
The
of it.
Date, but sure.
That I would watch that movie, especially with Adam Driver.
I watch anything you do, but I think it's so like the stories that people tell of, oh, that was so romantic. Like, it's not. If you think about it, all this stuff is fucking creepy, especially in movies. I don't think it happens in real life, but if you light it a certain way, or if you have the words said a certain way, then it can go from like romantic to creepy so fast. And I want to show that. And I'm sure somebody's done that, but
I just haven't seen it yet, but that would be cool. I like
thank
that.
you.
So
The Date, starring Adam Driver.
mine is mine's so funny.
Oh God.
Mine is a horror,
Okay.
obviously. Strangers in the Dark. So it's a homeless man,
Oh my God.
and he lives in an alley, right? As homeless people do. And he is a serial killer, and he uses the homelessness to save to get away with it. He uses it as his disguise, pretty much. So Gary Busey stars as this homeless man, and he murders people. He gets his most iconic serial killer, but no one catches him because he hides the bodies in the trash bags that he lives with, and everyone just thinks, "Oh, that smells bad." Oh, it's just he's a homeless person. So he uses the money, like the chains that he gets to buy like super cheap knives and stuff like that, to get his murders on. That's pretty much it. That's my elevator pitch
Jesus
for
Christ.
this Gary Busey flick. I do not have a title, so that's pretty much it. I don't know what title would be.
I thought of one that I really hate.
It's gonna be it. So what is it?
It's kind of a play off of him being homeless, but also like keeping the bodies with him. I would call it Homebody.
Oh, ooh, I really like that.
Thank you.
That's perfect. That's the one.
Thank you.
So that's mine,
All right. Well,
which is the greatest, but I thought
Gary
it'd be really
Busey will
funny.
sell any movie.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, on to the
All
next
right.
one.
You can introduce it. You introduce it, and then you should go first.
Yeah, I'll go first because I'm actually really proud of mine.
Okay.
So this individual.
He,
Do you want to
he
say
will
who
not
it is?
remain. The first person is anonymous because I didn't say who. I didn't like say that we would, talk about this. But the second
Yeah.
person is our father.
Yeah. He just put your mom. So as a kid, he was scared of our mother.
Which, same. I'm kidding.
Relatable. Okay, so my elevator pitch is I kind of have our mom as like the main character, but it's not going to be her. So it's a mother who listens to a ton of horror podcasts and
Oh my
horror shows and stuff like that. Just everything about horror, and she uses that to murder her family. And she's like, I'm gonna get away with it because she's done so much years of experience with like listening to these serial killers murder their families and everything that they've done wrong, and she's gonna use
Oh
that
my God.
to get it the right way. She's gonna get it
He's going to
done.
be so mad at us.
And the title, oh my gosh, the title it's probably the worst thing I've ever done in my entire life. Okay, so I'm gonna have to explain this one. So the title is Mo Murder. M-O Murder. And the M's are capitalized. So it's Mom Murder. Mo Murder.
That's disgusting.
And the tagline is "Mo mother, mo problems," and
Oh my god.
that is my movie.
Wait, who's gonna be mom?
Um, you see, I don't know who could play that role because it wouldn't be our mom. Like
No.
she wouldn't be like have the same personality as her, but it would have to be someone like really funny, like Betty White. Like Betty White would be funny.
Mom is not that old. She's gonna be
No,
so
no, I'm not saying that it's based on our mom. I didn't.
mad.
Just it would be funny that Betty White would just be listening to all these podcasts and shows and movies all about
That's more
murder.
of a
I
grandma.
just think I just think it would be really funny.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Well,
Mo murder.
well,
I
mine.
really left you speechless. You have nothing to say after it.
Mine is so mine I think you'll like, but I only think you'll like it or if like our siblings or if mom and dad listen to it. But okay, I don't have a title, but
Okay,
I
I
have
can
to
help.
I kind
I'm
of
perfect with that.
yeah, I kind of have to preface this a little bit with the story.
Okay.
So, I want to do well, so it'll be kind of like a road trip movie, like like a vacation movie. And
Mhm.
so one time when we lived in Alaska, I think we were just going on a road trip. I don't know exactly what we were doing. Maybe we were traveling to Homer, Alaska. But on the way, my mom was in charge of finding something for us to do. I can't even say it. And she found a magical place called Muckluck Land. And it was the scariest place I've ever been to.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That's
It
perfect.
we walked in, there was one security guard that was huge. I mean, not like I don't want to like body shame, but he like there's just something weird about a security guard not being able to, actually like if something was happening to take somebody down, to run, whatever. But he would just
He might surprise you, Paul Blart
maybe.
style.
But this guy was just sitting the whole time just staring at us play skee ball. And so we would play
Oh
skee
my god.
ball and then we got to like get tickets or whatever, and then we got to pick some candy, but then the candy was kind of loose. It was so weird. And so we did that. We walked around. They had a part of like the pipe of that runs through Alaska with all the oil and stuff. They said they had the biggest mosquito. We walked by and it was basically a metal mosquito. Um
Yes, I
But the
remember that.
creepiest part, I mean, the whole thing was fucking creepy because we had some. It was just us. I think I saw one family there when we were leaving, but it was just us in the entire thing, and it wasn't like indoors. It was the woods. We were just in the woods walking on this trail with this weird guy just showing us around, and he
The witch
even
style.
yeah, and he showed us to this one house that was full of dolls.
Oh my
Nothing else
god.
was in it. You couldn't even go in it. It was like they were closing the dolls. For what reason? I don't know what. But you would look in and they just had dolls everywhere. And then he showed us to this one place that had a bunch of beer like bottles everywhere. I don't know how he didn't get murdered.
I don't remember this.
I will never forget it. But
I
my
remember the mosquito.
then they had this big igloo. It was just weird and my dad was like, "Okay, we need to go."
Oh, I remember the igloo. It was like a bouncy
Yeah,
house too,
yeah.
right?
Y'all had a
Yeah,
grand old
okay.
time and I was like fearing for my life. So anyways, my horror story then, or my movie from based on the fear of our mom, would be that this mom would do like what mom did. She'd be like, "Oh, I found an amazing place for us to go," and she picks some secluded place called, I don't know, Muckluck Land. And it's just a ploy to just murder us, the family, because it's in the woods. It's really creepy, and we become the dolls in that house.
Oh my gosh. Taxidermy?
Yeah, or like
Oh,
maybe we turn into dolls. I don't know.
I know the title. I
What is it?
know the title, and you're gonna hate me
Muckluckland?
for it. No, No Luck Land.
Oh my god.
Because when you go there, you ain't got no luck. Because you're dead.
But I do have. So, this woman who is going to play the role of Mother,
Mother.
I just wanted the spirit of like somebody that could be nurturing and motherly, but also could be crazy. And this is very, like, I think people are going to be like, oh, of course you would pick her. But I'm going with Octavia Spencer. I think she would do such a good job. After seeing Ma, she could do anything. But yeah.
That would be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool to see.
And she was also in Loose, so I have her at the top of the mind right now.
Ah,
But
gotcha. That'd be a cool movie. Yeah, I like yours a lot more than mine. Mine I came up with as I was like falling asleep. And I was gonna write down Mo Murder Mo Murder because I was really afraid I was gonna forget it, but it was so good that it. Oh, my bad, drop something. It was so good that it just stuck with me.
oh
So
my god.
if you guys end up making this movie,
No, nobody can make this
we get
movie. This is ours. This is our idea. Nobody steal it.
some.
I know it.
Yeah,
It's
Gary Busey, if you're listening, hit me up. That's funny.
oh, mom's gonna kill us. Okay, so now we're nearing the end of our podcast, and I will reveal my pick. And
Oh my god, I completely forgot that you were gonna pick one. I was like, how is this gonna end? What are we gonna do? I completely forgot that you
I
had to
also
pick.
forgot, so I'm gonna pick one on the spot. But just to reiterate how this is gonna go, we're doing it in threes. So we did Creep, The Witch, and then I'm gonna pick another one that is of the same vein. I don't know if we're gonna stick to specific genres, but basically movies that are similar, that could be in the same family, that kind of thing.
Cousins.
Cousins. But so this one, you know what? I'm gonna go with. We picked two that a lot of people hadn't seen, that I knew at least. So I want to pick one that I know a lot of people have seen, and that would be. I think it'd be interesting to talk about, and I don't know. I just, like I said, I just want to see some. I want people to maybe rewatch this, or at least be able to interact with it if they haven't seen these movies and if they don't want to see the movies we're suggesting. But I'm going to pick Insidious.
I
Because
was
I have
just
not
talking
seen
about
it
it
in a
with Kayla.
while.
That's funny.
Was it
Insidious. Yeah.
Insidious? What'd you say before that?
I was just talking about Insidious with Kayla.
Oh, I thought you said something else. But yeah, I think we referenced it a few times, or at least I
Yeah,
did. But
I
yeah,
vaguely
it just
remember
it
that.
has. It's one of those. We picked movies that are like Creep and The Witch, are movies that are horror films, but they're a lot more different than horror films that I think people are used to. So I wanted to go to one that is still really good, but is more traditional in like how it's formatted.
Mainstream.
Yeah, and nothing's wrong with mainstream,
Yeah.
but I wanted to pick one that is pretty good and that I haven't seen in a while. I haven't seen in a long time,
Yeah, I'm excited. That'll be cool.
and it's available on Netflix. Mom got
Oh,
mad at
is
me
it?
because she said I
Cool.
didn't say what The Witch was on, but it's available on
Oh,
Netflix.
you can just look it up, but Netflix it is.
Yeah,
Cool.
but we'll just say it. Insidious on Netflix for next week. And then after that, you're gonna pick one that is totally different than any ones that we've seen.
Totally different.
Yeah.
It could be Jack and Jill. It could be
Oh my god.
Interstellar. Oh my god.
Could be Grown Ups. It could be um
Literally anything. I could pick whatever.
whatever you want.
So, if you guys don't like horror, I'm sorry that we started off with that, but
And
it'll change.
if you have suggestions, I don't know if you'll take suggestions, Anthony, but
Oh no, of course. I'll take
you
suggestions.
can comment, you can email us, you can message us, whatever you want. Let us
Email
know.
us at thebrosyspod@gmail.com. All right.
All right.
I think that's it.
All righty.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.